In the blessed name of Allah, the most merciful, the most gracious. Welcome to this explainer. Go ahead and settle in, get comfortable, and just let that heavy weight of the day slip right off your shoulders. Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating source text titled The Midnight Puzzle. Our goal here is pretty simple. We want to quiet the noise, slow down our racing minds, and take an objective look at a very strange little internet mystery presented by the author.
Take a slow, deep breath in and let it out. All right, so our source takes us back to early 2018. Imagine the internet moving faster than ever, right? And there's this podcast called Reply All, which is trying to make sense of this incredibly chaotic digital world. But before the hosts even start their main story, they make this really simple, grounding announcement. They tell their listeners that the show is actually going to be slowing down for a little while. And the reason why? Well, several people on their team are having babies. Now, the author of our source material highlights this exact moment to make a much broader point. While some people might argue that chasing a career is always the most important thing, the text argues that the family is the absolute fundamental building block of a healthy, beautiful society. Taking time away from a job to care for a newborn baby is framed as one of the most noble things a human being can possibly do, creating a deeply loving environment. So the source uses this as a gentle reminder for us: the real world, the warm world of human connection, absolutely always comes first.
But, as you might expect, the podcast soon dives right back into the digital world. The boss of the show brings in this picture he found online, and it's a highly confusing picture, divided into 4 distinct squares. It's titled The 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse. Now, that's an old symbol for 4 terrible events that bring about the end of the world: famine, war, death, and pestilence. The person who made this picture basically filled these 4 squares with 4 separate, completely bizarre internet jokes. They believed that if you understood these images, you'd understand all the chaos of modern digital life. So in this explainer, we're going to break down these 4 squares, exactly as the source material outlines them, to separate the truth from the illusion. Let's start right at the beginning. Square 1. Famine, the Tide Pod illusion. The source labels this first square famine, and it features a picture of a highly colorful packet of laundry detergent, a Tide Pod. Because these little soap packets swirl with bright blue, deep red, and white, they naturally look a bit like sweet, squishy candy. It started out as just a silly joke, people writing comedy articles about secretly wanting to eat the colorful soap. But, as the text rightly points out, on the internet, jokes can very quickly mutate into something much, much darker. Pretty soon, famous video creators realized they could get millions of views if they actually put the toxic soap in their mouths. Teenagers saw this, and they started doing it too, calling it a challenge. Now, medical experts strongly warn that this behavior is incredibly dangerous. These pods contain highly concentrated toxic chemicals. When they burst in the mouth, they cause severe chemical burns to the throat and lungs. Doctors actually describe the feeling as being exactly like drowning from the inside. Literally. The statistics the source provides are genuinely terrifying. If we look at the data, in the entire year of 2016, there were just 39 cases of teenagers intentionally biting these pods. In 2017, there were 53. But when this internet trend exploded in the first few weeks of January 2018, there were suddenly over 143 cases in just a matter of days. That is a massive, shocking spike. The source text actually frames this issue spiritually, stating that our bodies are a beautiful, sacred trust given to us by the Creator. The author argues that we don't truly own them. They are loaned to us so we can do good in the world. So, risking your health and your internal organs just to get likes on a screen, it's presented as deeply tragic. The overarching message here is that true worth comes from your good character, your kindness, and respect for the life you have been given, not from a dangerous viral video. Moving on to Square 2, Wart, the virtual mob. This next square is labeled War, and it shows a small, funny-looking red cartoon bird. Well, actually, it's a character named Knuckles, an echidna from a famous video game series. The context here is pretty wild. People were logging into a virtual reality game, stepping into a digital world, and suddenly, large groups of teenagers started dressing up as a short, fat version of this red character. They would form these massive online mobs, surround innocent players, make loud clicking noises with their tongues, and speak in fake accents, pretending to be from the African country of Uganda. What's really fascinating about this is that they were actually quoting lines from a real, incredibly charming movie called Who Killed Captain Alex? As our source details, this movie was made in the slums of Uganda by a highly passionate director named Isaac Nabwana. He had almost no money. His whole movie cost about $200 using fake props made out of scrap metal. An American man saw the trailer, flew all the way over to Uganda, and joined forces with the director to help him make more movies. It's this beautiful, uplifting story of human brotherhood and art. But the teenagers in the virtual game entirely twisted it into a mean-spirited mob mentality.
To counter this kind of ignorance, the source points straight to science. While some thought it was funny to imitate African accents and make clicking noises, the text notes that the science of language shows click consonants, like those spoken by Nelson Mandela in the Xhosa language, are incredibly advanced and highly complex. Furthermore, the Human Genome Project proved with absolute certainty that all human beings, regardless of skin color or location, are exactly 99.9% identical in their DNA. Think about that for a second. The author's core takeaway here is very simple. Mocking other cultures breaks the beautiful bonds of our global family. The text argues that we are all brothers and sisters, and absolutely no human is inherently better than another based on the country they were born in. When we use the internet to learn from each other, just like that American man and the Ugandan director did, we build a significantly better world.
This brings us to Square 3, Death, the Chase for Attention. This section focuses on internet personality Logan Paul. At the time, Paul and his brother had built this massive empire of online fame. They were drawing huge crowds and living in mansions. But to keep those millions of teenagers watching, they felt pushed to do crazier and more shocking things every single day. And this relentless chase for attention led to a horrific mistake. Paul traveled to Japan's Okigahara forest, which is a dense, quiet place where, tragically, many deeply sad people go to end their own lives. Hoping the atmosphere would make a good video, he and his friends encountered a real deceased person. Instead of turning off the camera out of basic human respect, he just kept it rolling. He zoomed in, even made jokes, and worried aloud that his video might lose its advertising money. Now, while some might claim that showing tragic things raises awareness, the source highlights that science and medical experts tell us the exact opposite. Broadcasting a tragic event like that to millions of young children causes something called suicide contagion. It directly causes more harm to vulnerable people. It is a scientifically proven phenomenon. The source document concludes this section with a really powerful reminder. Every single human life is absolutely sacred. Saving one life is as beautiful as saving all of humanity, and the human body must be treated with the utmost gentleness and dignity, even after death. The author argues that using a tragedy as a prop to get clicks proves that fame and money mean absolutely nothing if a person loses their empathy.
Finally, we reach Square 4, Pestilence, the spread of toxicity. Now, pestilence implies a contagious disease. In the picture, there are two sad cartoon bears looking at empty food bowls. This image actually comes from a very old, innocent 1939 animation where an Italian bear loudly yells, "Somebody touch on my spaghetti!" It started out as just a silly, harmless internet joke that people loved remixing into catchy songs.
So how exactly did a harmless cartoon bear become a symbol of toxicity? Well, it was co-opted by another famous internet star, PewDiePie. During a live broadcast, PewDiePie had become angry and yelled a terrible racial slur. When Logan Paul made his terrible mistake in the forest, PewDiePie made a video strongly criticizing him. But YouTube took PewDiePie's video down for breaking their anti-bullying rules. Furious about the rules, he made a new video using that funny spaghetti bear meme to mock the situation, completely deflecting from his own mistakes by pointing fingers at the flaws of others. The author uses a really striking comparison to address this behavior. A good, kind word is like a deeply rooted, healthy tree that offers shade and sweet fruit to everyone around it. Conversely, a hateful word is like a poisonous weed. The source argues that true wisdom means taking absolute, humble accountability for your own mistakes
before you ever judge the flaws of another person. It's a vital lesson.
This brings us to our final section, the quiet dawn, a new beginning. At the end of the original podcast, a voice imagines smashing the old internet to build a brand new, perfectly good one. But even in this imaginary perfect internet, toxic ideas sneak in. The source notes a user spreading the hateful ideas of a real-world white supremacist. In response to the idea that races should be separated, the author presents a strong theological argument. Our differences in skin color and language are an incredibly beautiful divine design. We are created wonderfully diverse for one simple reason, so that we may come to know one another, not so that we may despise one another.
The source outlines 3 distinct choices to turn this chaotic web into a tool of profound global peace. It challenges us to let the noise of the internet fade away, to let the desperate chase for views, the viral challenges, and all that digital anger just dissolve. The internet doesn't have to be an apocalypse. If we choose to speak with absolute kindness, if we verify the truth before we ever share it, and if we remember the sacred dignity of every single human life, we can completely reshape this digital landscape.
The source reminds us that the truth is always clear, and the morning will bring a fresh, quiet start. But it leaves us with a critical question to ask ourselves as we log back on tomorrow. Will you use your screen to merely add to the digital apocalypse? Or will you use it to build a tool of global peace? Think about that for a moment, and let your mind be still.